The streets were busy that morning. Cars honked. People rushed past with coffee cups and bags in their hands. No one noticed the girl in the torn sweater standing by the corner. Her name was Alina. She was young, maybe 20, but her eyes looked older, tired from a life that had never been kind. Her hair was messy, her lips dry and her clothes thin for the cold. In her hands she held something wrapped in a piece of cloth. It was all she had left. A small music box. It was made of wood, faded by time, with a little metal key on the side. Alina held it close like it was part of her heart. She walked slowly into an antique shop on the edge of the street. The doorbell rang softly as she entered. An old man behind the counter looked up from his newspaper. "Can I help you?" he asked, not unkindly. Alina nodded. Her voice was quiet. "I want to sell this." She unwrapped the cloth gently and placed the box on the counter. The old man leaned forward and studied it. "It's old," he said, turning it in his hands. "Still works?" She reached out and turned the key. The music began to play, a soft, sad melody that filled the quiet shop. The shopkeeper looked surprised. Beautiful tune. He opened the box, and inside was a small, aged photo of a man holding a baby in his arms. The photo was yellowed at the edges, but still clear. "Who are they?" he asked. "My mother. And me," Alina replied. Her voice cracked as she said it. The shopkeeper looked at her. "This means something to you." Alina nodded. Her stomach growled softly. She hadn't eaten since yesterday. The man sighed and opened his register. He pulled out a few notes and placed them on the counter. "It's not much," he said, "but enough for some food, maybe a place to sleep." Alina stared at the money. Then she looked back at the music box. Her fingers trembled. This box was all she had left from her childhood. Her mother had died when Alina was just a child. She never knew her father. This music box was the only memory that had survived the fire, the only proof that once she had a family. But hunger doesn't wait for memories. With a deep breath, she took the money and walked out. The bell above the door rang again. The music from the box faded as the door closed behind her. That same afternoon, a black luxury car stopped outside the antique shop. A tall man in a suit stepped out. His shoes shined, his watch was expensive, and his face was hard, like a man, used to winning. His name was Mr. Zayn. He wasn't the kind of person who shopped in small, dusty places, but something had drawn him here today. Maybe it was chance, maybe fate. He entered the shop and looked around. The old man behind the counter greeted him nervously. "Anything in particular you're looking for, sir?" Zayn didn't answer. His eyes scanned the room, until they stopped at the music box on a nearby shelf. He picked it up. There was something about the feel of it, something familiar. He turned the key and the music began to play. As the soft tune filled the air, Zayn froze. He opened the lid slowly and saw the photo, the same photo that had been lost nearly 2 decades ago. His fingers gripped the edges of the box. His chest tightened. His knees felt weak. He sat down. No, he collapsed onto the chair beside the counter. Tears filled his eyes. He hadn't cried in years, not even at funerals, but now they flowed freely. The old shopkeeper was shocked. "Sir, are you all right?" Zayn didn't hear him. He was staring at the photo inside the music box. The man in the photo was him, and the baby he was holding was Alina, the daughter he thought had died in a fire 18 years ago. He whispered to himself, "She's alive." Mr. Zayn sat in silence, the music from the box still playing softly in the background. His hands shook as he held the photo. It wasn't a dream. It wasn't his imagination. This was real. The photo showed him, much younger, smiling, holding his baby girl. His late wife had taken that picture. He remembered it clearly. That day they had gone to the park. His daughter had giggled the whole time. Her tiny hands had reached out to grab his nose, making him laugh. Her name was Alina, and she had died. At least that's what the police had told him after the fire. The house had caught fire when he was away for business. His wife's body was found, but Alina's was never recovered. Everyone said the flames were too strong, that there was no way a little girl could have survived. Zayan had searched for weeks, refusing to accept it. He'd spent money, hired investigators, looked in hospitals and orphanages, but after months the trail went cold. Eventually, people told him to move on. He never truly did. And now, here it was, the photo, the music box, a sign. Zayan stood up, gripping the box tightly. "Who brought this in?" he asked the shopkeeper, his voice low but firm. The old man adjusted his glasses. A young girl, thin, wore a blue sweater. She looked hungry. Zayan leaned forward. "Did she give her name?" The man scratched his head. Yes, she said her name was Alina. That's why I remember." She seemed nervous. Zayan's heart skipped a beat. "She's alive," he whispered, again as if saying it would make it more real. He opened his phone and called his personal assistant. "I need you to find someone," he said. "A girl, young, poor, name's Alina. She sold something at an antique shop today. I want her found. Today." Meanwhile, across the city, Alina sat on a small bench in the park. She tore pieces from a dry piece of bread and ate slowly. Her stomach stopped hurting for the first time in 2 days, but her heart felt empty. She kept thinking about the music box. The sound of the tune, the photo inside, her mother's voice. "Never lose this, Alina," her mother had said once, "because one day it might bring you home." But she had sold it. Alina wiped her eyes with her sleeve. She remembered her mother's face clearly. But her father, he was a blur. She only remembered bits, strong arms lifting her in the air, warm hugs, a deep voice reading bedtime stories. She never knew why he didn't come for her. After the fire, a neighbor had pulled her out and taken her to the hospital. She was burned, scared, and alone. No one claimed her. The authorities placed her in an orphanage, a cruel one. They said her family died, that no one wanted her. So she grew up believing she had no one. Back in Zayan's office, files began to pile up. His assistant brought photos, names, and addresses. "There are hundreds of girls named Alina in the city," she said, "but only a few visited that part of town today." Zayan didn't sleep that night. He stared at the music box, playing the tune over and over. Each time the song ended, he turned the key again. In the morning, he visited the orphanage himself. The building was old, cold, and sad. He showed the photo to the headmistress. "Did she ever stay here?" The woman stared at the photo. "Yes, that's Alina. She was here for years. Quiet girl, never talked much. Ran away when she turned 16. We didn't know where she went." Zayan nodded. "I need to find her." Later that evening, Alina walked toward the city soup kitchen. She only went when she had no choice. The volunteers there were kind, gave her bread and tea, sometimes even a blanket. As she stood in line waiting for her turn, a voice behind the counter asked, "What's your name, dear?" "Alina," she replied softly. The woman nodded. "You came yesterday too, right?" Alina nodded. Unseen by her, a man in a dark coat stood outside the kitchen, watching through the window. Zayan. He had followed every clue, from the shop to the orphanage to here. And now he saw her, his daughter. She looked thin, pale, worn out. But her eyes, they were the same. His heart ached. He wanted to run to her, call her name, hold her like he used to. But he couldn't. Not yet. He wasn't sure what she'd say. Would she believe him? Would she hate him? So he stood there, frozen, watching the daughter he thought he had lost forever. Zayan stood outside the soup kitchen, his breath fogging in the cold evening air. Inside, just a few feet away, was his daughter, the child he thought had died nearly 2 decades ago. Now a young woman, she looked tired, skinny, and worn by life. But her eyes, those were the same eyes he remembered. Deep, quiet, and strong. He had so many questions, but none he could ask. Not yet. He couldn't just walk in and say, "I'm your father." What if she didn't believe him? What if she hated him for not finding her sooner? His heart was full, but his feet stayed frozen. Inside, Alina held the warm paper cup in her hands. The tea warmed her fingers, but not her thoughts. She kept thinking about the music box. She wondered who had bought it. Would they see the photo? Would they understand its meaning? Probably not. No one ever did. She sipped the tea slowly, trying not to cry. A kind volunteer gave her a blanket. "Stay warm tonight, sweetie," she said. Alina gave a tired smile and stepped back out into the cold. She didn't see Zion standing behind a tree across the street, hidden in the shadows. He followed her from a distance, careful not to get too close. She walked for almost 20 minutes until she reached an old broken building. She slipped inside through a side door, probably a place she used to sleep. Zion's chest tightened. That's where his daughter lived. A crumbling building, no bed, no light, no safety. He couldn't watch anymore. The next morning, Alina woke up to the sound of birds on the windowsill. Her back hurt from sleeping on the hard floor. She stretched, rubbed her cold hands together, and stepped outside. To her surprise, a paper bag sat at the front door. Inside was fresh bread, a small bottle of juice, and a warm scarf. She looked around. No one was there. Was it the soup kitchen? She clutched the food tightly and walked to the park to eat. What she didn't know, Zion had left it. He watched from across the street, his heart filled with emotion as he saw her smile, just a little, when she took the scarf out of the bag. For the next few days, he continued to leave small gifts: food, a jacket, a small flashlight. Alina was confused but grateful. For the first time in weeks, she wasn't starving. And for the first time in her life, she felt like someone might care. One afternoon, as she sat on a bench eating a sandwich from the mystery bag, an old woman beside her said, "You've got someone watching over you." Alina looked at her, surprised. "What do you mean?" The woman smiled. "Every day you sit here, and every day someone stands under that tree." She pointed across the street. Alina turned quickly, but the tree was empty. Zion had already hidden behind a passing bus. Her heart started beating faster. Was someone really watching her? And if so, who? That evening, Alina returned to her usual building. She sat near the wall and pulled out the flashlight she had found earlier. She smiled as she clicked it on. But something strange happened. Tucked inside the plastic bag where the flashlight had been was a folded envelope. Her hands trembled as she opened it. Inside was a letter written in neat handwriting. "Alina, you don't know me yet, but I know you. I saw you at the antique shop. I bought your music box. It changed everything. You're not alone anymore. We'll talk soon and when you're ready." There was no name, no phone number, no way to respond. Just those few lines that made her heart beat faster than ever. Alina looked around the dark room. For the first time in years, she felt something she had forgotten: hope. She didn't know who had written that letter, but deep inside, she felt the truth. Someone knew her. Someone cared. And maybe, just maybe, someone loved her. Days passed, but Alina could not forget the letter. Every night she held it close and wondered who had sent it. She wanted to believe that someone cared for her, but the pain of her past made her afraid to hope. She kept living in the old building, still hungry and cold, but the small gifts, food, blankets, and the letter gave her strength she hadn't felt in years. One chilly afternoon, Alina was walking through the park. Her heart beat faster when she saw a man standing near a bench. He looked nervous, but kind. It was Zayn. He watched her from a distance every day, but today he had decided he must speak to her. He had waited for the right moment. Alina felt the air change around her. She slowed down. Zayn took a deep breath and stepped forward. "Alina," he said softly. She stopped. Her eyes widened. Who are you?" she asked, her voice shaking. "I'm someone who's been looking for you for a long time," Zayn replied. "I'm your father." Alina's mouth opened, but no words came out. Her heart pounded like a drum. "Your mother and we lost you in a fire many years ago," Zayn said, voice breaking. "I never stopped searching for you, I never gave up hope. Tears rolled down Alina's cheeks. I thought you didn't care. I thought you left me. No, he said firmly. I was lost without you. Alina looked at him. She wanted to believe him, but the pain was still there. Why didn't you find me sooner? Zayan took her hands gently. Because I was told you didn't survive, but now I know the truth. The music box, the photo, the letter, all were pieces of the past that led them back to each other. Alina's eyes filled with tears again. I sold the music box because I was hungry. It was the only thing left from my mother. Zayan nodded. And it brought me to you. They stood in silence for a moment. The city moved around them, but for them, time stopped. Finally, Alina whispered, Can we start again? Zayan smiled through his tears. Yes, we will. After their first meeting in the park, Alina and Zayan started to see each other more often, but the road ahead was not easy. Both carried deep pain and many questions. Zayan wanted to make up for the lost years. He invited Alina to his big house, filled with light and warmth, things she had never known. She felt both amazed and scared. In the beginning, Alina didn't know how to trust him. She was afraid he might leave her again, like before. Zayan understood. He never forced her to talk or accept him right away. He gave her space but stayed close, showing his love in small ways. One day, he gave her a gift, a new music box, shining and beautiful. This is for you, he said gently. A new start. Alina held it tightly, tears in her eyes. Thank you, she whispered. They spent hours talking about the past, about her mother, about the fire. Zayan told her stories she had never heard before, about her mother's kindness, about the dreams they had for Alina. Slowly, Alina opened up. She told him about the orphanage, the hard days, the nights she was scared and alone. Zayan listened. With a broken heart. I'm so sorry, Alina. I wish I could have saved you. Alina smiled faintly. You're here now. That's what matters. Even with their growing bond, the memories were heavy. Alina sometimes had nightmares. She woke up crying, feeling lost. Zayan stayed by her side, holding her hand until the fear passed. But the world outside was not always kind. Some people whispered about Alina, about where she came from, about her past in the orphanage. They doubted. She belonged in Zayan's world. Alina heard the rumors. They hurt her deeply. One afternoon, she faced Zayan with tears. Why do people judge me? Why is it so hard to belong? Zayan hugged her tightly. Because they don't know your story. But I do, and I love you no matter what. Alina felt his love like a warm shield. Together they faced the doubts and fears. They knew healing would take time. But for the first time, they believed it was possible. Days passed, but a quiet worry grew in Zayan's heart. He knew the truth about the fire was not complete. Something had been hidden, something important. One evening, while looking through old papers in his study, Zayan found a dusty folder marked, The Fire Investigation. His hands trembled as he opened it. Inside were reports, photos, and notes. One thing caught his eye, a suspicious detail about the fire's cause. It wasn't an accident. Someone had started the fire on purpose. Zayan's face hardened. He thought of his wife, his lost years, and most of all, Alina's pain. He had to find out who did this. Meanwhile, Alina felt happier with Zayan but still struggled with her past. She wanted answers too. One day, while searching for her mother's things, she found a hidden box under the floorboards in the old building she lived in. Inside were letters and photographs, memories of her family's happier days. But one letter was different. It was written by her mother and hinted at someone close to them who wanted to hurt the family. Alina's heart raced. She showed the letter to Zayan. Together they read the chilling words. Be careful. Not everyone who smiles is a friend. Some want to destroy us. Determined, Zayan and Alina began to ask questions. They talked to old friends and neighbors, trying to piece together what happened all those years ago. One name kept coming up, a business rival of Zayan's father who had long wanted to take over the family's company. Could he be behind the fire? Zayan's anger grew, but he knew they had to be careful. If the truth came out too soon, it could put Alina in danger. At night, Alina dreamed of fire and darkness, but this time she also dreamed of light and safety. With Zayan by her side, she felt stronger, because now they faced the past together. The truth was finally clear. Zayan and Alina had gathered enough evidence to expose the man behind the fire, Mr. Karim, a powerful businessman who wanted to destroy Zayan's family and take over everything. Zayan's heart burned with anger, but he knew they had to be careful. They went to the police with their proof. At first, the police were slow to believe them, but when they saw the evidence, they had no choice. Mr. Karim was arrested. For Alina, the trial was hard. She had to face questions about her past and relive painful memories. But through it all, Zayan was by her side. His support made her strong. When the court declared Mr. Karim guilty, Alina finally felt peace. She looked at Zayan and smiled. "We did it. We found the truth." Zayan smiled back. "And now we can build our future." Slowly, life began to change for Alina. She moved into Zayan's home, a place full of light, love, and safety. She started studying music again, inspired by the music box that brought them together. Zayan watched her with pride. He knew this was just the beginning. One evening, as the sun set, they sat together by the window. Alina held the new music box in her hands. "It's our treasure now," she said softly. Zayan nodded. A symbol of hope, love, and second chances. They looked at each other, their hearts full of promise, no longer alone, no longer afraid, together, ready for whatever life would bring.